friends, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. For those of you who are new here, my name is Kaylee and this is Foodie Friday. So this week I'm going to be sharing with you one of my all-time favorite no-bake desserts, chocolate chip cookie dough fudge. I created this recipe because I'm a huge chocolate chip cookie dough lover. I honestly would prefer to eat the cookie dough over eating a baked cookie. I'm that girl that eats all the cookie dough before we can even get those cookies in the oven. So I wanted to create a recipe that was not only egg-free, because we want to avoid any kind of salmonella poisoning or anything like that, but I wanted to create it guilt-free as well, because oftentimes we want to avoid sweet treats when we're dieting or trying to live a healthy lifestyle. In this recipe, you don't have to avoid it. So I've created this recipe with gluten-free, vegan-friendly, and paleo-friendly ingredients, so it covers a multitude of different dietary restrictions, and it is 100% guilt-free. So without further ado, let's get to baking. To start this recipe off, we're going to be using a few very simple ingredients to make the cookie dough base to our chocolate chip cookie dough fudge. So to start, we're going to be using 1/4 cup and 2 tablespoons of pure maple syrup, 2 1/2 tablespoons of softened or melted coconut oil, 1 tablespoon of coconut flour, and then we also have 1 1/4 cups of almond flour, and then we have 5 tablespoons of your nut butter of choice. I'm using almond butter, and then 2/3 cup of dairy-free, vegan-friendly chocolate chips. Next, we're going to add our dry ingredients to a large mixing bowl. I typically add my almond flour and coconut flour in and whisk these two things together just to make sure there's no separation in my flour. So I take a spatula, you can take a whisk, either one, and just get these dry ingredients mixed together. Then we're gonna add in our coconut oil. Like I said, this can be melted or softened. I prefer it softened just because we're gonna be forming a dough. Makes it a little easier to press into our pan later. But you can have it melted. And then we'll add in our maple syrup. This needs to be pure maple syrup. That's the healthiest alternative that you can use. You can also use honey if you're not vegan, but just make sure you grab pure maple syrup. Then we'll add in our nut butter. Make sure that this is creamy and not crunchy. Nut butter, I'm using almond butter in this recipe, but you can also use cashew butter. That tastes super delicious in this recipe as well. And if you're nut-free, sunflower butter works as well. And I'll leave a nut alternative or nut-free version of this recipe in the description box below. You can click the link to check out what to swap out for almond flour. Next, just add in your chocolate chips and we'll mix this dough together, and it will be ready to be pressed into an 8x8 baking dish. Once your cookie dough has formed, we're going to line an 8x8 baking dish with either parchment paper or non-stick foil. I actually ran out of parchment paper, so that's why I'm using foil today. But we're just going to take that cookie dough and we are going to press it down into this pan. Using your spatula or your hand, either one works fine. Just press the dough evenly into the bottom of your 8x8 baking dish. Once your dough is pressed in evenly, you can set this aside while we make the ganache topping, or you can go ahead and stick it in the freezer so it can get to setting while you make your ganache topping. Our ganache topping is made with very simple ingredients, just 3 of them. So we're going to be using 2 tablespoons of creamy nut butter. I'm using almond butter here again, 1 tablespoon of coconut oil, and 1 cup of dairy-free, vegan-friendly chocolate chips. So we're going to add all of our ingredients to the same bowl, and we will stick this in the microwave in 30-second intervals until everything is nice and smooth and melted together. So I typically stick this in my microwave for 30 seconds and we'll stir up the ganache and continue to repeat this step until I get a very creamy and drizzly texture. Once your ganache is all smooth and creamy and melted, we're just going to pour this over our cookie dough bottom and smooth this out with a spatula until it's all even. Once our ganache topping is on, we will place this fudge in the freezer for 20 to 25 minutes or until everything solidifies. All right, friends, the fudge has come out of the freezer. I sliced it into 16 equal squares. So now it's time to try it out. So I'm gonna take one. So good. All right, guys, so I'm gonna store the rest of these in the freezer to enjoy later. These are super rich, so cutting this into 16 equal pieces, they may look a little small, but I promise you one will be enough. So I hope you guys enjoyed this recipe. As always, please give this video a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, and subscribe to my channel so you never miss a recipe. I look forward to next week when we get together and cook another nutritious and delicious dish. Bye, you guys.